Hello from Bali. This is the podcast Pigeon of Peace where we do discuss some skills of troubleshooting. Watch, listen, and check the description below for the details. Let's talk about taxes and let's start with the definition.
Taxes. This is what state couldn't live without. For example, when you are trying to create your government, to create roads, to provide electricity and protection for the people, to sign contract with other countries, you need to pay for a lot of, I don't know how to say, officials, чиновники.
Officials.
To officials, and for huge amount of people, taxes is something out of their mind. For me, it was a quite unpleasant discovery. I was signing a contract with German office McKinsey, and suddenly I saw a huge sum, like 10,000 Deutsche marks, and I was so happy. I was thinking this is money for a year, and suddenly I realized those money were intended to pay monthly. I was so happy. Already in my head, I was calculating how much would I spend, how much I will bring back home. But after 1 month, I got on my account less than 8,000 Deutsche marks, and my first thoughts would be, okay, I rented house, I was given a car, maybe this money will cover it. But after several months, I was so unhappy that I approached to my boss and asked him why I was so, I don't know how to say, почему столько много минусуют? Why so many
deductions?
Why so many deductions? And he was looking at me like I lost my mind, and he pronounced just one word, taxes, and I was not able to understand what mean taxes. And he say me, you have a salary, you should pay part to the German state. And I was saying, but I am Ukrainian, why should I give my half or part of my salary to the state? And at this point, my German boss was also astonished, and he couldn't understand. And then we were going to buy a suit for me. I don't know how to say, костюм тройка, suit with jacket, suit with
Three-piece suit.
Three-piece suit. Oh, thank you. And suddenly this was a price. I don't know exactly, but something I don't know, like 1,250 Deutsche marks. And suddenly at the cashier's desk, I was asked to pay, I don't know, like 1,400. And I was also with a stone face asking my boss, why should I pay more? And he was saying again, taxes. And the same when you will be in, for example, in USA, you will find that in different stores of the same retail chain, for example, Walmart, in different states, you will pay different amount of money because they have different taxation system. There is a very good saying, and seems to me it's going from Margaret Thatcher. He was saying something like this: if you want to explain to your child about taxes, buy him ice cream and then bite it. And when your child will scream, you will say, this was taken for governmental need.
Well, I do believe this is a quite gorgeous example. And when we speak about the taxation system itself, so how the government decides like what should be the amount, what should be the fluctuation, what should be, like even the, maybe different aspects who pay, who cannot be paying the taxes, for example. I think they call this like an amnesty. So what is the, I would say, back end logic behind of, like setting all of these taxes in a specific region or country?
It's very depends, and depends from how huge territory of the state and how difficult to maintain infrastructure. A lot of people think that it's a miracle when they're talking about Dubai or Singapore, where you have been living for years. And when I was working in Singapore, it was Marina Bay Sands hotel, and suddenly I was told that at the end of the year, this hotel would give to the government some amount of money, and people of Singapore will get on their accounts some portion of the prizes of the casino. And I was astonished. What? People of the Singapore will have on their accounts small portions like 850 Singaporean dollars in addition to their savings. How it possible? I have never heard like this. Another example, maybe you'll make corrections. As I heard, if you will live in Dubai and you are local, when you will be married, when you will have a child, you will be granted some sum of money or in a gold equivalent. Yes, is it true?
Yes. So there is like a subsidiation for this.
Yes, or for example, you will have in some countries, for example, mortgage but without interests. So it would be covered by state. And you know, when you live in Ukraine, in Kazakhstan, in Belarus or Russia, it's almost impossible for us because we're paying taxes for everything. So now, when I was working, for example, in Australia, it was a man. He was like a cowboy, but for the ships. I know how to say. He was holding like 10 to 12,000 ships to collect the wool from them.
So it might be called shepherd, probably.
Yes, correct. Shepherd. Yes, correct. It's the pastuch, shepherd. Yes, and we also were talking something about prices and taxation. And suddenly he walked in another room and bring me envelope from the state, from Australia, and he showed me that he has yearly this printed sheet of paper where written how much of his money was spent, for example, to maintain roads, to rebuild some institutions and so on. And I was looking at this piece of paper and I was divided for two men. First man was thinking, okay, come on, this is quite approximate. То есть очень приблизительно, to approximate, yes?
Approximation.
Too big approximation. So this not about exactly your money was spent. It's like in common in our area, money from your taxation would be divided in such a proportion. But from other side, I was working in 6 countries and I have never seen such letters in Germany, in Japan, in Russia, or in Ukraine, for example. And from one side, it's quite, I don't know how to say it, populism.
That's populism.
Populism, but from other side, it's also respect, уважение.
Yes,
To the
it's
citizens.
respect. And actually, this somehow reminds me on another spectrum of this one. When you not only spending or like giving it to the government, I do believe in Singapore, like when you spend your money on electricity, actually they would show you like how you compare with your neighborhood or with overall country, like whether you spend more water or whether you spend more electricity as well. So it's probably something that is balancing this thing out. And if we move from the like maybe private sector to like I would say a business one, so how to deal with the taxation when you like work on a business? Because like something that I also heard from you as well, you were saying you need to be the quite faithful, you need to be quite loyal tax player, but somehow you also might be thinking about the optimization. Again, like we're speaking about the legal area. So how to deal with this thing to not really cross the borderline?
I will tell you 2 examples. First would be about Germany. I was working in Germany. I have a rent house with swimming pool. I have a car with petroleum from my firm. And suddenly my car was washed by a company and I got a receipt to pay my taxes. And I was saying, come on, but if the company washed my car, why should I pay taxes? And suddenly I heard from my boss, this was like a favor from our company. This was like a gift in natural form. You should pay taxes. The same was in Ukraine. It was a threat to my life, and I was granted bodyguard for like 2 months. And suddenly I was so proud. My bodyguard cost to my bank $120 per day, and very tough guy in a nice suit was following me. He was huge. He was so cruel. And I was so happy to be under his protection. But after these 2 months, I refused to work with him because suddenly I got a call from tax office. I should pay 20% of the sum because it was also a gift. And another example. I was working in Ukraine, and I was asked to be 1 week in Russia, and I was using a nice car, business class. I don't know how to say. It's like not a fast line, but special особый зал, но не бизнес-зал, а есть VIP-зал, он платный, in airport. How to say?
Could
Like
be
VIP?
fast track and then VIP hall or something like this, VIP lounge.
VIP lounge, not a business one, but VIP. It's much higher. For example, in Russia right now, it costs like 10,000 rubles just to cross once. If you are flying abroad, it would be like 20,000 US rubles. It's quite expensive. And also, I would be living on executive floor of 5-star hotel Hilton. And after 3 years, I was moved from Kiev to Moscow. With nice salary and a lot of social packaging, and suddenly I had a bill from Russian taxation office, and there was written something like this: during last 3 years, you was granted by the company Alpha Bank with transfers, with VIP lounge, with living in a hotel, and some of those taxation was more than 10,000 US dollars per year, and there were 3 years. And now I work for a creative institution, and I should be prepared, but I never heard that you will be taxed after you was paid by your hotel and by your tickets by another company. You was not employee. So at the time when I was invited to Moscow, I was not employee of this company. But when I became an employee, I was immediately deducted by those taxes.
And actually, there's also another probably example that I have from my Singapore life. So the thing is, like when you go and pay your taxes, you also may learn about like a different, like a release or discounts that you might get. Like for example, if you have a kid, etc., etc. But the thing is, you need to apply them by yourself. And this is also brings me to another question. In some of the countries, you might be, like paying taxes by yourself, like you feel the declaration, or in some countries, let's say your like a bosses on your work might be doing for you. I mean, like the company itself, they will fill in the papers. So what might be, let's say, like if we would be someone who is just like trying to choose the model for our specific country, what model may fit the best the government itself?
Right now, I suppose we should use artificial intelligence, and it is not hard to make this calculation. But when I was working for one company, all my taxes were calculated by bookkeeping office. When I started to work for 2 companies, suddenly I was asked to write all declaration by myself. And sometime after the taxation year, I would be given back some money, or I would be asked to pay more. But when I become a director of dentistry in the Moscow, a lot of people approach me and they ask me to write special, I don't know how to say, справка о налоговом вычете.
Tax return.
Tax return. And it's so funny. Very wealthy people, they ask me to write, for example, on special paper, in special form, in special template that I spent for my teeth, like I don't know, like 1,000 US dollars, and I ask government to give some money back. And in for example, in Russia, if you're going to fitness, if you're going to dentistry, if you will spend something, I don't know how to say it, reproductive system, when you ask a health assistant to be pregnant, to be pregnant.
A surrogate, probably.
Surrogate, maybe you will have like a discount for taxation office. And before my coming to Moscow, I never heard about this. Maybe it was the same in Singapore or some other countries, but you should apply by yourself. But happily, in some countries there is electronic cabinets, and you just could attach some letters, and you could put digital signature, and now it's not so hard.
And then my last question will be how knowing about taxes would help to make this world a better place.
I suppose it is obligatory to know about taxes when you start up. Several times I was trying to give money to smart guys and smart girls. They approach me with nice presentation and so on, and I ask them two questions: is there any calculation of taxes, and another is if there is any calculation of bribes. And all of these teams will always say there are no need to pay taxes. We will work in co-working, for example, and we never will pay bribes. But you know, if you will try to make business on our territories without taxes and without bribes, you will be very severely punished. You know, I have a very experienced bookkeeper in Russia, and I pay like triple salary to her because she has relatives working in tax office, and sometimes he give me some advices. For example, you should increase salary to such a person, you should pay this amount of money. And I second year I was asking, why should I pay this? And she will explain me, if you will pay a bit more, you will be never, ты не попадешь под проверку, you will be not under the check.
Under the check or under inspection or investigation.
And you know, it's very funny. So sometimes I would pay for tax office, for example, like 3% more for nothing, but I could be sure that would be no tax inspection, because if tax inspection will come, they always will find some mistakes.
Well, sometimes you also want to do a little bribery in order to, like go beyond the radar, and we review the skill of taxes and how it could be helpful for you. Stay in peace.